college at Southwest Texas when I was 17 because I just went out of high school. I was like, screw this place. This place. Started college and got my degree in commercial art, my BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Commercial Art, which was like,
What do you mean?
I'm right, exactly. What do you mean? That's because I was right at that cusp when everything changed. The computer changed everything. Digital changed everything. So I got trained old school, draw it by hand. Like I had a whole class where I had to ink by hand in the undercase A. I spent the whole semester so that you couldn't tell it was inked. It would look printed. But it was all drafting and everything was by hand. And I started out as a freelance illustrator for GSD&M and AKG&M. They were really small, tiny companies. But it was the 80s, and we were going through a huge depression. And to have a degree in commercial art in the 80s, the first thing they cut is advertising, right? So I became a production artist for Trinity Publications. I started teaching in '89. And I've been teaching ever since, but the great thing, and I love it.
Teaching art or teaching other subjects?
Teaching art. I have 5 certifications, always just in case, right? Just in case they cut me, I can go teach history or GT reading. And I didn't have time really to make my own art too much because I was raising 2 kids. But, and you know, we had soccer, and we had football, and we had academic decathlon, we had all this stuff. But I could constantly be practicing in the classroom because I taught high school. Here, I wanted out of high school so bad.
But now you're back
and I've been teaching high school for 26 years, you know. But it's totally different because it's my studio, and I'm the art director. And then through teaching them, I've been able to develop a draftsmanship, you know, a real craftsmanship to your skill. Les Amis is this outdoor kind of cafe, restaurant,
That's
bar
a myth also.
that is right across the street from UT. And that's where all the students would come and they'd sit around and drink beer and talk about what they were doing in their art classes, you know? So it was cool to get to show a 9-year-old's pen and ink drawings there. It's so real. It's very surrealistic. But mostly I'm a storyteller and I illustrate stories. And I always have like some kind of artistic to say here's where it started. Was with this story. And then that story evolves as you're making your work. So I'm an installation artist. You know, I illustrate. And so I create my installations through drawing, through printmaking, through textile, through painting, some sculpture. When I was in my undergraduate work, I remember my professors always kind of telling me that it's too tight or it's too contrived, you know, where's the depth? Draw from your experiences. But the thing was, I wasn't far enough away from those experiences yet for them to be a part of a social narrative. Now that I've gotten to 52, I can look back at these different lives in my life and they create a whole narrative. So now most of my work is really very autobiographical, you know? Success is when you feel really good about a direction, but you're still exploring it. Because wouldn't it be horrible to get to the end of it and go,
like,
wait, that's it? Me? Oh my God. No, you know, you have to, you know, to know that you have the direction and you're continuing to go and feedback, getting critical, really good feedback. And critical can be either they're not sure if you're there yet, or critical in that, oh, I really like the way you did this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, it takes us all being around each other and discussing our work with each other. That's, you know, I didn't think when I hung this show that I was going to like make tons of sales and get rich. That's not what it was about. It was about making the show and showing the show and telling the story and showing techniques and sharing those techniques with other people. And that's why the other night I was really happy with the crowd, because it was all artists and curators and directors here. You know, because they were talking about it and they were recognizing it and asking questions. Just do it. Just make it. You have to produce. You can't sit around and wait for someone to give you a project. You can't sit around and wait for someone to pay you for it. That's why you need a day gig, and if it's in the arts, even better. But just make it. Produce. Show it. Talk about it. Talk to other people about their work. Teach it.
It's all about talking. It's that voice.
Document everything that you do. Document.
Yeah, document.
Document.
And find a mentor.
One of the problems we have in San Antonio is there's nobody writing about the arts. Really writing about the arts. Seriously. You know, it's very cliquey. You know, it's a big high school cafeteria. But so when it boils down to it, you have to write about your own art. And that's something that I think a lot of schools, at least I know for me and from what I've seen, maybe it's changed, but something that a lot of schools have not focused on with their art students is the business of art and how to write about your work, how to document it, and how to PR it. You can't rush. I saw him speak one time at this business of art lecture, and he said, "He who does not tooteth his own horn will not get his horn tooted." And that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. If you want your horn tooted, you got to do it. Nobody's just going to come up to your doors one day and go, "Hey, I heard you're making art in here. Can I come in here and look at?" Nobody's going to do that, you know. You have to get out there, and it's a lot of salesmanship and documentation. Well, the thing is, you don't. You sell it, but you're not ever going to detach from it. First of all, you've documented it.
Okay.
Secondly, you carry every piece is the prelude to the next piece. Every piece you do. So you're taking a bit of that with you to the next piece anyway.
There's a loss, I feel like, whenever you exchange money for something, as opposed to being like, "Oh, I really care for you, and here's a painting," you know.
Well, that's true, but at the same time, showing them. Show them. That's your gift.
Yeah.
You're showing them. Look, here's what I did. Let's start a dialogue.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Some people take stuff away with them experientially, and some people don't. But you've shown them that's the piece, you know, is that experience of the viewer, and then sell them because it's done.
You know, you open up a very good question, because part of what has to happen in the community is that the audience has to be educated in purchasing of art, has to be educated in considering their art as important and valuing them and contributing to their well-being.
And that having one in the entire world of a piece is so much more valuable than having one of 10,000.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much more valuable. And